21st Platoon. Hard drop. Secure our landing zone.
Understood.
Over the target in 5.
Hang on to your helmet.
Welcome back, recruits, to From ODST to Helldiver. In today's video, we are going to cover support call-in ordinances specifically for backpack items. Now, we are going to cover specifically the things that are only backpack items, not the weapons that include backpack items. And this is to pair really well with the previous video where we covered specifically support weapons that did not have a backpack slot. Between the two of these videos, you can find and mix and match a couple different combinations to have a very interesting loadout. I do think some support weapons and backpack combinations pair really, really well together. So I think I'm going to dive in a little bit to some mix and match combo options near the end of the video. All that being said, let's go ahead and jump over to the loadout screen and take a look at what we have to work with. So here we are at the loadout screen. And if we take a look down here, we go to the supply options. You can see a lot of the weapons that we already covered, as well as these weapons that have backpack slots. We're not going to cover any of those right now. Instead, we are going to focus on these backpack items here. There are currently 12 of them in the game. You can see all of them have the item traits of Hellpod and Backpack. And in general, they have a very large cooldown of several minutes. So this is going to be one of those things that you get not as often as maybe some other items. All that being said, we're going to go ahead and talk about the first 4 items before showing them off in game. First one is the B1 supply pack. Very good item, essentially in game as you're going out and about. Everyone will have access to the stratagem to call in a supply pack drop. It'll ordinance down and it has 4 different packs that you can pick up. They will reload all of your weapons, grenades, and stim packs. Not full capacity, mind you. Only 2 grenades and 2 stim packs for each one of these packs that you pick up. But I do think they reload after ship upgrades all of your weapons all the way up. Before ship upgrades, I think either 2 or 3 restocks of ammo. So, those are very good stratagems. You're going to use them quite frequently in the match to maintain your supplies, to be able to stim yourself, to be able to throw more grenades, yada yada yada. What this backpack item here does, the B1 supply pack, essentially gives you access to 4 supply packs on your back. And you are able to use them on yourself to recover ammunition, and you're also able to use them on your teammates to give them a fresh stock of resupply. So this has a lot of uses. It actually is a very, very good item. You guys might think, oh, what's ammo gonna, how big of a deal is that? Well, there are several weapons that are very limited on ammo. There are several grenades that you only spawn in with 3 at a time anyways, and so being able to access more grenades is very, very good, especially in closing bug holes, for instance. You can close an entire thing of bug holes using the supply pack and throwing grenades pretty candidly. So it's very good for a lot of reasons. It's also very, very good if you are running off on your own and you want to resupply yourself. It's also good if you want to fit the squad as a team support or like a medic role. This can be very, very useful on that front as well. Do not underestimate this thing. This is definitely one of the top backpack items, I would say. 100% definitely up there. Next up, we have the B100 Portable Hell Bomb. You can see item traits. It also includes explosive and anti-tank. Essentially, this calls in a Hell Bomb, which is the most destructive force that we have access to as Helldivers. And you strap it onto your back, and with the tap of a button, you can activate it, and it begins a 10-second cooldown, or countdown rather, before detonating. Now, this does sound like a kamikaze blow yourself up stratagem. However, you do have the wonderful utility to drop this backpack as well, which means you can set off the 10-second countdown, drop the backpack, and run for your life and hopefully get far enough away that you don't suffer too many negative repercussions. This is particularly really good against the bots, and occasionally also very good against the Illuminate as well. The bots, on occasion on maps, will have a stratagem nullifier. So essentially, if you're within a certain range, you can't call in any stratagems at all. And in order to blow that thing up, you usually have to go find a terminal, defend that spot for quite a while, and activate the terminal and run through all the little mini-game stuff, which can be time-consuming, can cost several lives while you sit there unable to call in stratagems and are attacked usually on all sides. Very frustrating. The Portable Hell Bomb shines there, where you can call it in well ahead of time before you enter the no stratagems area. Strap this on your back, run in there, run right up to the device, activate this, drop the backpack off, and run away. It'll blow that up, and you can move on. So very useful against the automatons, the bots. It's also particularly good against the Illuminate for a couple of reasons. They do have a stratagem, not a jammer, but some kind of device that kind of messes with the controls for your stratagems, and it's very hard to destroy that with just one ordnance call in. From like the 380 barrage, for instance, is not particularly good at destroying that device, but this Portable Hell Bomb seems to do a fantastic job of blowing that up as well. So it's very versatile, very good. Drop it off somewhere and boom, it's gone. Now there's one downside of the Portable Hell Bomb, and that's that your teammates are capable of walking up to your backpack and activating it to start the 10-second timer, whether you're ready for it or not, which is a bit of a problem. And once it starts, it will not stop. So be quick on your toes, don't let people mess around with your backpack too much, or you're going to have problems. It is also something I forgot to mention with the supply pack, is that your teammates can walk up and activate your backpack to resupply themselves, similar to how you would if you called in the supply drop. So keep that in mind as well. If you're trying to be stingy with these and keep them to yourself, just know your teammates can walk up to your backpack and take them off you. Additionally, with the supply pack, there's one other thing I forgot to mention. As you begin using these supply packs, if you call in a regular supply drop and pick up a supply pack, not only will you reload your weapons, grenades, and stim packs off of that one that you called in, it also replenishes your supply pack backpack with a new container as well. So very good, very good. Okay, next up we have this Lift 182 Warp Pack, which is the latest backpack item to get added to the game. It uses black hole technology to have you teleport a short distance in front of you, sometimes onto different platforms, sometimes on the other side of walls, sometimes right into the midst of enemies. And when you appear, you actually cause a small explosion where you land, which does not damage you initially and only damages the enemies around you. It's very good at taking out some smaller or medium-sized enemies. Not very good against tanks, however, but still very good. Very, very fun. You have unlimited uses, but it will kind of overheat, as it were, as you keep going. If you immediately use it back to back, you will begin taking damage over time. And if you use it, I think, a third or fourth time back to back, it will actually blow up and kill you. So just time out your time between jumps, and you should be just fine with the warp pack. And then next up we have the hover pack here. Now there is a difference between the jump pack and the hover pack. And I promise I'm going to show those off, just stay on top of what's happening here. The hover pack itself is, you can use the item to hover in the air, and it can take you to great heights. It can get you to locations on the map that you otherwise wouldn't have access to, like the top of buildings, but it is pretty bad against the automatons as you become a sitting duck in the air. Very, very good against the Terminids, however, because you can float in the air for a good 3 seconds, which is normally bad if something can shoot at you, but the bugs can only melee, so for the most part you're going to be a-okay just floating up in the air before inevitably descending. Now when you're flying in the air with the hover pack, you're not moving particularly fast, which is the main downside of this against any of the factions that can shoot at you, is you kind of become a sitting duck floating in the air. But it is very, very good if you need to get to a specific vantage point or you want to climb buildings. It can be very, very useful. Alright, now that we kind of talked about these a little bit, it's time to actually show them off in-game. So I will see you guys there. Alright guys, here we are in-game. Now we're going to start this off with the supply pack. And as you can see, starting off in the game, I only have 3 out of 5 grenades, 2 out of 4 stim packs, and 6 out of 8 for my rifle. If I hit down on the D-pad, you can see it used one of the supply packs and reloaded me on all fronts. And that's essentially what it does. While someone else has a backpack, if you walk up to their back and hit the A button on the Xbox controller, it will reload for you. Additionally, if you call in a resupply, I'll show you.
How about a nice cup of liberty? Throwing grenade!
Grenades. And if you see here, when I hit down on the D-pad, it'll use another slot, and I actually got 3 grenades back instead of just 2. And I reloaded the missing magazines for this gun, but you see it did not reload for me, which means I actually didn't get full capacity back when I did that. Now this is the resupply pod that drops down, and if I run over to it and hit the A button, you can see I got an additional pack on my back. Now even if I have full ammo, full grenades, and full stims, I can walk over here and reload my pack. And now that I'm full up and I have a full pack, I can no longer activate the pod to get more. But, and also, my backpack, I can no longer hit the down on the D-pad to use one of these slots while I am full up. Even if I fire my shots off, and I have almost an empty clip here, I still can't use the supply pack to reload my gun. Just FYI, hopefully that all makes sense to you guys. I think that is just about everything for the supply pack. Now next up, we have the portable hell bomb here. And go ahead and walk over here, maybe. Tell you what, I'll walk over to this building and we'll see the destructive force of a hell bomb firsthand.
Main objective near your position.
Now, holding the right. Oh, okay. Okay. So sorry guys. Down on the D-pad, tapping it will activate the hell bomb. Holding it will allow me to do different things like dropping the hell bomb. So real quick, I'm just gonna tap it.
Hell bomb!
Oh no. Dropped the hell bomb, and now I got to move. Maybe I got far enough away.
Stratagem no longer available.
Boom. Yeah, that is the greatest destructive force that we have access to. Very good. Sorry that I was losing my mind looking for the controls on that. I usually don't have a reason to go here and drop things. Most of the time this is just to drop items. Most of the time that I play, I don't ever use it. Okay, so that is the hell bomb. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the warp pack. Now to activate the warp pack, you just have to hold the A button down. And you can see it started glowing orange. Its default safe color is purple. Let's see if I damage some enemies by doing that. This. Damage some more enemies.
Mag's empty!
Yeah. Something to do. It's not a large radius of damage when you use this. See that it killed them. Pretty much whatever you land next to is going to hurt. That right there was a kill. And the warp pack, although it is generally a warp right in front of you type of thing, you will notice that it did actually send me up on here. If I come over here, I think I can get to the top of that building. Oh my goodness. There. So maybe I do need to be something like this. Oh boy. Sorry guys. Yeah, you can see you can warp through things. I'm trying to make it to where I can warp up. Maybe I'm not moving fast enough or something. If I get up on this rock, I'm sure I can make it to the other rock over there. Just a couple of nuances. Warp pack, and if you activate it 2 times, it will begin burning. And that was with the second use back-to-back with the warp pack. Now, fortunately, it didn't blow itself up when I did that, and you did see it can kill you very quickly. If I go 3 warps in a row, 1, 2, 3, you can see it completely blew me and it up. So be very careful when you're using the warp pack to not kill yourself or kill teammates if you warp into them.
Reporting to the front!
Although that is funny. You probably won't be very liked. Alright, next item up here is the hover pack. And again, to activate this, you just hold down the A button, and you can see I can still move around pretty easily and control where I'm going. And I also got access to this cliff here. Now I'm almost certain I can make it up there, but the hover pack does have a cooldown time before uses. You hear that noise when it's time to use it again. And you can see that even though I was sprinting, the momentum didn't really carry me that far. But I did make it up to here. So this is a very useful item if you are trying to snipe for instance, and you want to get to a very nice vantage point, this will definitely allow you to get to some of those really nice places. Now the bugs can still, from time to time, get up here. Some of them burrow in the ground and pop up under you. Some of them can jump pretty high. There are flying bugs. The bile titans can spew their acid at a decent range and can get you while you're up here, kind of thing. So you're not 100% safe, but you will be safe from 90-something% of all threats. Now, you might ask, what happens if you have this and you are all the way up here and you're on your way down? What happens when this thing runs out? Well, the hover pack itself, they added a little bit of a hover at the bottom to make it to where you don't die from landing.
Mission at 30 minutes
Otherwise, it would be
remaining.
practically unusable. Now, the downside therein is you saw it took a while for my feet to actually touch the ground, and enemies that are coming after you will see that you're kind of stuck there waiting to land before you can sprint away, and they'll come try to catch you. So there is that. Just keep that all in mind. Another thing that I have noticed is while you have the hover pack, just here for this, if it's not charged, I don't think this works, but if it is charged, if you jump off a cliff and you hold the A button, it will gently glide you down and not use up all of the hover pack. So you can additionally use it just to descend if you're already in the air and falling down, which may be a little bit of an unknown use case for this. So if you are fighting, you get to the edge of a cliff, you see it's a long drop down, you don't want to hover up because you don't want to be stuck in the air. You can jump off the cliff and hold down the A button to activate, and it will gently glide you down to the ground. So, yep, pretty cool, pretty useful, but I think that is all for these 4 getting demoed. But I will, real quick, head back to the ship, get in the loadout screen, and we can cover the next 4 items, including the jump pack. I'll see you guys there. Alright, we are back at the loadout screen here, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the next couple of backpack items. The first one up is the jump pack, which is similar to the hover pack in a lot of ways, but actually is used for speed rather than height, denoting it's a jump pack and not a sustained flight hover pack. This really is just a bunch of boosters that launch you forward pretty fast. There are some comical aspects to this, as occasionally you will get some very poor interactions with lampposts and whatnot, which will ragdoll you and severely hurt you. But for the most part, the jump pack is a very fast moving object. It'll help you quite a bit in traversing the map. Very good item. I do highly recommend that you try this thing out at least once. Yeah. Next up we have the shield generator pack, and for all of you fans of Halo, this right here is the closest you can get to having Mjolnir shielded armor. This essentially builds up a giant bubble shield. Well, I say giant, but a bubble shield around you in a sphere that will protect you from almost every direction. It does not actually cover your feet, I have discovered, so keep that in mind. It also doesn't prevent things like the gas or flames from hurting you, but any kind of bullets or projectiles coming your way, it will protect against. It will protect against the actual initial flames from a flamethrower, but if there are flames on the ground, it won't stop those from burning you. So, this is basically a shield that it protects you and will eventually go down, and once it is depleted, it will recharge after a certain amount of time. This is essentially the shield for your armor in Halo, as a Spartan. So, Halo fans rejoice, there is something in here that's pretty nice for you. Now, next up, we have this SH-51 Directional Shield. Now, this is a pretty unique item that has a couple of very interesting use cases. It essentially is a shield similar to the shield generator pack, but instead of being a circle completely around you, it actually is projected out in front of you, and very widely so to your left and your right. And essentially this allows for phalanx strategies in game. So you know how in historical Spartans they would have massive shields and they would align them all next to each other, forming a giant wall? This essentially allows you to form a shield wall. If everybody has these, you can alternate between them. It can protect the person standing directly to your left and right. It's very versatile in that way and very, very fun to play with. However, it does have one major downside. In order to use the directional shield, instead of just having it active all the time, you do have to hold down the left trigger, the scope, and it comes out in your left hand, which is a bit unfortunate. It means if you have a two-handed rifle, you're not able to simultaneously shoot while holding out the shield, but if you have an SMG, you can use this quite effectively with one hand. Additionally, you can use a pistol, very good for that as well. So it has some use cases, it has definitely some potential. I will say this though, it does not protect very well against melee attacks either, as it's more of a projectile stopper than a person stopper. Things can just walk right through, so against the Terminids it's not very effective at stopping their melee blows, but it is very good against the automaton shooting at you and potentially the Illuminate with several of the new enemy types that shoot things at you as well. It's pretty good. I do think it's a lot of fun. I do think it is a little underrated solely for the fact that it's one-handed. I bet if it was active all of the time, it would get a lot more excitement from the players and get a lot more use. Alright, next up we have the SH-20 Ballistic Shield Pack, and this is one of those things very similar to the way that the Directional Shield behaves. This is a giant metal shield, but it only functions for yourself. Now it does stop just about any kind of bullets shooting at you. It doesn't really do well against explosives, however, but it does do really, really well against melee attacks. And it is a perfect weapon if you're in-game trying to use a melee build. It stops melee attacks against you. It can be used in one hand while you have the flag in one hand, or the stun lance in one hand, or any of the other melee weapons you can have in one hand. It is unfortunately taking up a one-handed slot, so it is most effective if you have, for instance, like an SMG of some kind, or even if you want to use one of the pistols in particular. This can be a very effective weapon for that as well. This is definitely one of my favorite stratagems to use, specifically for a couple of different builds. It's a very good item. Basically can tank all things coming your way other than explosives. So, highly recommended. Now that we have talked about these, I'm going to go ahead and hop in the game, and I will see you guys there. Right, back in game here. We've got all of our stratagems called in. I'm going to go ahead and start with the jump pack. And As you can see, by holding the A button, I can launch myself very, very far. This does have some vertical utility as well. It's a recharge, I'll show you. I can most likely just land right up on this building, but it is not particularly built like the hover pack to get on top of high stuff. Now you can make the jumps, but it is particularly a little tricky. And it does do a good job of carrying your momentum. As you can see, those guys can't do much about me being all the way up here right now, which is great. This is a very fast moving object, I did say. But now we're going to go ahead and bust out the shield generator pack, particularly in this fight, and I'm going to bust out my sword. And just show you guys that despite being hit, the shield is going to hold up very well, keep me alive while I slash them. They did eventually bust through, but I wasn't particularly trying to kill them very fast. I was trying to show off the shield itself.
Joining the fray.
Shield is very, very strong. I do like the shield. It will recharge after a certain amount of time. Maybe I can show that off if I throw a grenade. Yeah. So the shield is gone now, and after just a little bit of time, it will come right back up. This is more akin to the Halo 1 shield as far as recharge time than it is for the Halo 2 Beyond, where recharge is pretty fast. Just keep that all in mind. Additionally, you can kind of see there is a glow on the top of me in a circle. There is not much on my feet, and I have noticed that if an enemy in particular burrows under the ground and pops up, it will hit me for full damage before after only being able to hit the shield. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't do super well against things coming up out of the ground. Now, there is a nice little thing that a bunch of very inspirational Helldivers have noticed. If you go into the hug emote and you hug a teammate, you will if you both have this particular shield generator pack, you can withstand double the amount of damage while you're in your hug. Now, I've seen a lot of Helldivers call in 500 kilogram bombs and then both hug each other standing right next to the impact spot. And if they time it correctly, they can survive even a 500 kilogram bomb while hugging each other. Which is fantastic. I freaking love that, guys. That is some really, really good stuff. The knight back to the automatic. And we're going to go ahead and take a look now at the directional shield. So now that I have this out, you can see in one hand I have a little plate that I'm holding. You can see it. If I hold the left trigger as though it's scoping in, you can see I have the shield out. This can be very effective against bullets, especially if you crouch. And you can see it going into the ground there. So it does have, a vertical aspect to it as well. But it also is quite wide. You can see left to right. Someone can very easily stand right next to me and be able to benefit from the shield. Now, it doesn't go down as you hold it out. It only goes down when it actually starts taking damage. But if we go up to the enemies here, you'll see that it doesn't do much, if anything, against melee attacks. It is a bit of a downside. Now it does depend, because they can walk right through the shield to get to me. but if they attack in front of the shield and don't walk all the way up to me, it will block that. That just doesn't happen very often. You may also notice I am able to shoot while holding the shield up, even though it is taking up one hand. It's because I have an SMG out. SMGs are notorious for being one-handed weapons. There is one SMG in the game that is not a one-handed weapon, and a lot of us are pretty upset about that, myself included. Definitely should get moved to the assault rifle and keep the SMGs all one-handed. But this is particularly very, very effective against the automaton robots, and you can also use this to pretty good effect against the Illuminate, although it doesn't do much against robots. Or not the robots, the zombies. Zombies can walk right through the shield and melee attack you. So it is a little bit unfortunate on that little side effect, but the benefits here are that you can protect not just yourself, but also two of your allies. One to the left and one to the right, and if you all have these, you can stand in single line formation, have two of these active and protect the entire squad, even from multiple angles, and swap out when they eventually go down. So just keep all that in mind. It is a decent stratagem, but it does suffer for a couple of reasons. The one-handed aspect, the fact that it doesn't stop melee attacks. Both the downsides. The upside is you can protect not just yourself, but also teammates. This is also a decent thing for a medic role. Now next up is one of my absolute favorite items, and this is the ballistic shield. This right here is a huge metal shield that can block pretty much anything coming your way other than massive explosions. No melee attack can bust through the shield, though it does have its own health bar. And you can see that on the bottom left where the backpack item position is. You can see currently it has full health. If I get into a fight over here, and I will with my melee weapon out, the backpack is going to start taking damage, though it could be quite a small amount. Now, it doesn't have great left to right defenses, so if they do swarm around me, they can bypass the shield altogether. And also, when I make attacks, the shield is in front of me, and thus do all that great. But man, is this so fun for a melee build. This is very, very good with the stun lance and the flag. You do feel like you are a Spartan of old. Running in with a giant metal shield and being able to poke things back. Very, very fun.
Gotta fix this Liberty Forsaken
Additionally, calling a resupply quick.
Sending down equipment package.
If you have the shield out, you can also fire one-handed weapons. So if you have pistols, you can fire any of them, as well as most of the SMGs, which is also particularly good. Now, if you try to use the scope of your SMG, what you're going to find is instead you will be looking out of the shield, which I think is also pretty freaking cool. I do say so myself. It does feel like a riot shield, 100%.
Nothing in the chamber.
Mission at 30 minutes remaining.
Pretty good. This is definitely one of my favorite items in the game, bar none. I do recommend you guys try to mess around with it, particularly try to load in with like an SMG and maybe a very good pistol that you want to test out, or a melee weapon if you can get your hands on one. All of these are great use cases to use this ballistic shield. Now there is one additional aspect of the shield that I can't show right now since I have an SMG and a sword. But if you do have a two-handed rifle, instead of the shield sitting on the left-hand side like it is currently, it actually rests on your back. And while you might think that means it's totally inactive, what it actually means is it is sitting on your back, providing cover for you, especially if you're running away from things shooting at you. So even if you aren't using a one-handed situation, this could just be really good armor specifically for your back if you're trying to run away from things shooting at you. Now, it doesn't cover the bottom half of your legs, but it does a very good job of covering your back and head. So it is actually got some use as well when it's not active, which I think is phenomenal. Can't recommend this ballistic shield enough. It will eventually deteriorate after getting hit enough, so you will have to call another one in eventually, but as you can see, I already am able to do that. Alright guys, I think that's all I have for the demo of these items.
Mag's empty.
Stupid bugs. I'm gonna go ahead and head back to the ship, and we will cover the last couple of items. Alright guys, we are back at the loadout screen here. And go ahead and drop down here to cover the last 4 items. Now these backpack items, each one is a different type of, basically a turret strapped to your back. We have the original, sorry, not the original, this is the Arc 3 Guard Dog K9, which shoots electrical shots out. It does say medium armor penetrating, but I do believe the electrical shocks can shoot through just about anything. This is essentially the same thing as the Arc Thrower item that we were showing off a bit before. This fires exactly the same kind of round, and it can 100% shoot your teammates. So be very careful with this. This is a team killing device, but it is a very, very deadly team killing device that can wreak havoc on your enemies. So just keep that all in mind. It is a very cool item if you're going to do a full electric build. Very fun. Next up we have the AR-23 Guard Dog. This essentially has the default Liberator item strapped to your back. However, it does have medium armor penetration from an update. They made it just a little bit more punchy, which is fantastic. So this is basically an extra assault rifle strapped to your back. It is not a machine gun by any means, but it is a very effective weapon. It will eventually go back to your backpack in order to reload, and I think it can actually run out of ammunition, which you can recharge from a resupply pack. So just keep that in mind as well. It will shoot at all of your enemies. It does have a bit of a caveat where it will shoot through your teammates in order to shoot your enemies, and occasionally it may shoot you to shoot the enemies. So keep that all in mind. Can do some friendly fire, but it is a pretty consistent weapon to not do so compared to a lot of the other things in the game that involve additional guns. Next up we have the Laze 5 Guard Dog Rover. Essentially this has a light armor penetrating laser beam weapon. It will overheat from time to time, and when it does it has to go back to your backpack to recharge, but I think it does have infinite ammo. So pretty nice weapon. It is light armor penetrating, so bear that in mind as well. Compared to these last two that are able to do medium armor pen, this is only going to do light armor pen. But to compensate, this laser is quite accurate and is going to focus on weak spots. So it is pretty effective. I do think this is a good stratagem. I'd say these are about on par with each other, though this laser does seem to be very team killy as well, as it will continuously fire as it pivots from one thing to the next, and if your teammates are in the middle of that, they're going to get zapped. So Just keep that in mind. It also has the capability of lighting things on fire, as all beam weapons do. So when it does hit your teammates, they can be lit on fire. It can also shoot through you to shoot the enemies and also light you on fire, so bear that in mind as well. But man, extra firepower like this is very good. It's also, and this goes without saying for all 4 of these items, are very good at alerting you to where enemies are. If you see the laser start firing off screen, you know there's an enemy over there it's looking at. Now the last one here has the caustic trait. It is the guard dog breath. And this essentially fires off the, where's that sucker? The sterilizer, which we showed off a while back. Basically spews out gas at your enemies. It can blind and confuse them. And I must say, this is my favorite of the 4 backpack items that can shoot at your enemies. It doesn't have as much range as the other ones. It's very close quarters. But against the Terminids in particular, when they start approaching you, it will blind and confuse them for you, allowing you to proceed with a flamethrower build very, very well, or dive in with a melee build to take them out as well. But just keep in mind that while it's firing off its gas attack at the enemies, it doesn't really particularly care if you get gassed as well. It's a little bit more friendly fiery than these 2, I do think, especially if you're trying a melee build and running in towards the enemies. Just keep that all in mind as well. But man, all 4 of these are just extra firepower at your disposal, and I really like them. So let's go ahead and dive into the game and show some of these off. Alright, we are in game here. And I'm going to start this thing off with the Cane electric shock backpack item. Walk over here and see if we can see some enemies. Where could they be? Probably this away. Let's go ahead and find us something to shoot. Hello, hello, hello. You'll also be able to get a good understanding of the range of this thing. And you also notice it's actually flying around. It's not actually on my backpack. It just has to dock and charge. It should have a better range than that. Perhaps the fog is messing it up. Get to zapping, buddy. See, it has a pretty decent slow firing rate, but it is particularly good at headshots.
Freedom, triumphs over tyranny once
Well, how about
more.
that?
The extraction shuttle awaits your request.
Additionally, you may or may not have noticed that the electric shock is zapping through other enemies as well.
Get some! Get
Mark off
some!
one and into another. Additionally, it has infinite ammo. So, very good on that front. Kind of slow on the fire rate, but very, very good. Very strong weapon. Okay, next up we have the regular guard dog. This has the AR weapon on it, just to shoot. Let's see if there's any. Now you can see it has a much further range than the aforementioned item, and it is equally good at headshots. AI controlled weapons typically are good at headshots. Let's see if there's anything here I can deal with. We can show off perhaps how long it takes to reload and how much ammo it has before it has to. Did not waste ammo on that thing at all, did it, guys? One bullet was all it took. And as you can probably all tell here, I haven't had to fire a single bullet. This thing has done it all for me. And now that it has run out of ammo, it's gone back to my backpack to reload. You can also see how much ammo is left for this particular weapon on the bottom left. Got some enemies over there. Go ahead, buddy. No. Oh, man. Ow. Come on, deal with it. Take him out. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull out the Guard Dog Rover, which is the laser weapon. And we'll see this sucker, which it's fairly good at it. You see it takes a little bit longer to take enemies out, but it is still quite effective at 100%. Quite a bit of ammo capacity here before it overheats to recharge. You can see it's had pretty much a consistent beam of fire this whole time. Good.
That's called democracy!
Yes, sir. So the laser beam does suffer from having that light armor penetration. It does do less damage than the other two, but it is particularly very good at highlighting where an enemy is, which is as well. Next up we have the Guard Dog Dog Breath, and this is the one that shoots out gas attacks at your enemies. And you can see they are quite confused, and they're actually attacking each other right now. Now, he will spray them enough to get them confused and disoriented before releasing and moving on. He won't continuously fire on something that's already gotten, which is pretty good. And I think he does a decent job of prioritizing things that are near you. So, he is particularly letting these Man. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites, especially for the flamethrower build, where you are looking at your enemies as they approach and backing up, firing left and right, over and over, and when an enemy chooses to walk through the flames and also gets confused, it is a recipe for disaster for them. They take double the damage over time, once from the flames and once from the gas, which, very, very deadly combination there. Now, I can hear enemies, and I can even see some enemies, but this guy is not particularly long range. So we're just going to stand here to see how much of range he actually has before he begins attacking. And then he has to reload. As well. Another downside to these is you can't call them in yourself to reload. They are just going to go until they run out and then come back, whether it's optimal timing or not. Now, if I just run around like a madman here, he is pretty much just going to kill everything in sight. Slowly over time. Now, he is also more than capable of shooting the attack off at once and it gassing multiple things. Let's see. It's back pretty soon. Now, pro tip strategy is you don't want to be right up close fighting these things while he's gassing you, because he will gas you. When they go a little bit crazy, they do immediately begin attacking, but wait for him to gas them and then kind of circumnavigate them, get them from behind and take them out that way. It's very effective. That melee build. In here. Don't particularly want to be in front of that, but if I get behind it, I can slash. This is very good against things that die much slower against the gas attacks as well.
Say hello to democracy! Back empty!
Well, alright guys, I think that is enough of a showcase of these guys. I will go ahead and head back to the ship and see you guys there. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully this was pretty informative on backpack items. There are quite a few, 12 of them, and they all have different uses, some ranging from defense to mobility and even offense. They can supplement just about any build that you've got. And I'm sure when you get in the game, you're going to find the one that you really like and the playstyle that you also like as well. And maybe that playstyle is very effective against one enemy type and not so much against another. Melee builds being maybe the highlighted best of all of those. Very good against Terminids, not very good at all against automatons. So, hopefully you can see some of these are going to play differently against different enemy types and different levels of missions, and hopefully this was pretty insightful and you guys find a backpack item that you in particular are looking forward to when this game drops on the 26th. Until then guys, good luck, and hopefully I'll see you out there pretty soon. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of From ODST to Helldiver. If you found any of the information in this video useful, please go ahead and leave a like. And if you have any questions about anything, you want some clarification, or maybe you want to sync up in-game, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and maybe I can add you. We can get a couple of games together. And if you want to see a couple of more videos like this, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? That would really, really be appreciated. And hopefully this video gets you guys a little bit more prepared for when this inevitably drops on the Xbox. I hope everybody watching sees so many similarities between the Helldivers and the ODSTs. They're pretty much doing all of the same things. And I do find this game is, without a doubt, one of the greatest Halo games in the last 10 years. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.